democratic institutions, social environment, the ultimate revolution.
Today. They really are confused and uncertain.
We need to do something as a country.
It's time to rethink.
We all want to do certain things.
We are about to see a phenomenon that is going to help unify the world in a way it has never done before.
It's a mostly primary solution. That's extremely important.
One of the biggest ills in our society is competition.
Economic development and growth depends very.
You want decent jobs. You want your kids to have an opportunity. We're going to fight to give you that.
This is the story of a journey towards solidarity, participation, reciprocity, collectivism, and cooperation against greed, selfishness, profit maximization, and concentrated power. In the globalized world that we live in, social and environmental issues are transforming our society, ignoring boundaries, class, race, disability, and gender. Today, more than ever, their tentacles are reaching all over the globe, and we're moving towards a critical point where humanity's future seems to be uncertain. Nonetheless, there is always light at the end of the tunnel. Aiming to discover great changes, innovations, and sustainable solutions to the world of a social and solidarity economy, we packed our bags and began traveling in September of 2012. Since then, we've traveled to more than 25 countries in America, Africa, Asia, and Europe, visiting more than 100 social initiatives and collectives. In these journeys, our convictions were our conclusions. There is a strong alternative out there that pursues innovative solutions to social and environmental difficulties. But we also discovered so many things along the way, mainly stories. Stories of ordinary people rising up to the challenge of problems. Stories of how we, as societies, deal collectively with our problems by creating initiatives to actively solve them. In today's world, the only real identity is humanity. Poverty is a multi-dimensional phenomenon. If there's a big lesson about poverty, it's that no matter where we are, every society faces its brutality. Poverty doesn't discriminate countries and doesn't recognize boundaries or people. In the contrasting world between the haves and the have-nots, the problem's not about wealth, but rather the distribution of it.
In around 2005, there was a war whereby if those rebels, they get you, they just catch you, they take you to be their army. So you fight for them. And if you are lucky, they may leave you to come back home. But if you are not lucky, you remain there. Others, even they have remained there, maybe they have been killed. Every evening, they'll be chasing us. Like for me, I was still young, I cannot run well. That we have been using main road to run to the camp. So even so, I've been getting some injury on my legs, and even I can fall down, but still I have to run. They're still in northern Uganda, but now the leader of that rebel is now not there. That's why we have come back to our villages.
went to Uganda to visit the Butterfly Project at the Chrysalis Center, a unique initiative that is changing the lives of young people from the most disadvantaged slum districts and rural villages, training them to become social entrepreneurs.
I was rejected at the age of 3 by my dad, and that meant that I was going to stay with my mom. And life in the slums is not an easy life. I started working when I was 8 years old to be able to buy myself something to eat and also to be able to clothe myself. So growing up in a slum is not something easy. Life in slums is devastating. Sanitation is poor, the medication is very expensive, and somehow I thank God because I've been able to at least move from that somehow, and getting into the project has really changed my life.
The project is basically set up to find social entrepreneurs who we believe that can in the future be change makers and create change in the society. So it's also mainly focused on developing young people's passion and talents through engagement with them.
In the young people here in Uganda, often their talents, their gifts and talents are not nurtured as a caterpillar would be nurtured. And our centre is called the Chrysalis Centre. The caterpillars come to the Chrysalis Centre and they become butterflies. And we feel over time, we're a small project, but our project has impact in communities, and we feel just like the butterfly effect, we can make small impacts in our communities, but those effects are felt much more widely throughout Uganda. There are some key areas that we do focus on. Certainly problem solving is a very important one. Leadership skills, ICT, we start right from the beginning teaching about email and the use of social media, that kind of thing. We also teach ethics. It's one of those interesting areas where we feel it's part of being an instrument of change is to be an ethical individual, because that means others will look up to you and follow you. So that's another area. But we also extend that into things like business ethics. And there are other areas that we try to do is things like talent development. So if they have a specific talent, we try to nurture, foster that talent in some way. Activism is another area that we cover, and international citizenship. So that involves learning about other countries and the sorts of different cultures that they have and how Uganda fits into the global situation.
In our community, there's poor sanitation.
In slums, there is child abuse, there is child labor, there is a problem of children not going to school. Some go to school, but again they drop out, and others are not in school simply because their parents can't afford paying for.
I wanted to see like child abuse is abolished, completely abolished in my area. I want to see like kids do not live in a world of fear.
Kids are suffering. You see kids looking for something to eat. It's like even they don't have shelter, they don't have where to sleep.
I decided to start a drum exchange project. It was the first play that I composed was about street kids because there was a project that reached Kampala.
My project is called Advice for Change. I was so interested in music, dance and drama, so I decided to start up a project called Arise Music Project.
My project is Acholokwata Youth News.
My project is traditional dance.
My project is about street kids.
We deal in music, dance, drama and art, and what we do is we raise awareness in the community.
My project derives from my passion, which is football.
I'm planning to set up another project, and that's sanitation, to encourage people in our community to practice good sanitation.
The project is football and cartoon for change drawing. I see slums as places that can change, because even the people there, they really love change.
This project has changed their way of thinking, because with the project here we teach them like how to be selfless. That is our main concern, because if you're going to be a person helpful to the community, you can't think about yourself only. You find that the kids are working together as a team instead of one person like doing all the work alone. This one comes in and helps. So I see they're beginning to look at life in a different way compared to the way they used to be before.
I'm Francis, and my project is called Slum Run, and this project is based in Acholi, where people came from northern Uganda just because of the war, so they came running from Kony. Acholi is a slum area and based in Kampala, and it has about, let me say, 5,000 people. It's very congested, and people are there. They don't have houses, toilets, sanitation. It's just too bad living there. So when they reached in Acholi, they didn't have permanent jobs. They didn't have shelter. So they decided to find themselves what to do to earn a living. So they ended up going into the stone quarry to scratch stones and get money, sell the stones and get money. And actually, what moved me, it's because young kids also were working in the stone quarry. So that one kind of got into me, and I felt I needed to do something. So I started up the Slum Run. The Slum Run is all about helping these kids to let them know their rights, to also make them feel like other kids, take them to school. At the beginning, we sponsored about 30. Then last year, we had about 50 children. And we managed to fundraise. We got the funds and we managed to take them back to school. And when we give them the money, we tell them not to work in the stone quarry again.
One thing which we feel is really very important strategically, and that is that young people in Uganda, in Africa, they are an enormously important asset, and they are the key to this type of change that people want to see. I don't feel at the moment that people around the world value them enough. We talk about sponsorship and then we say, well, I'm going to pay £10 a month to sponsor a child at school, whereas at the same time in the UK, one child is sponsored for £10,000 a year by the government. So in comparison, we're not really taking things seriously. These young people deserve serious, and they are just as talented as any other children around the world, so they deserve equal support. And because they have this passion for change, they're the ones perhaps we should even prioritize in the future, because we'd like to see a very special Africa which we can learn from the rest of the world, rather than simply say, well, it works in London, let's use it here in Kampala.
Kurana wanwe wafe pia kurana wanwe wafe bizibu yo okusita kwa bana bato enkaya na mu parliamenti.
We sing not because we are happy, but we are happy because we sing. And if you want to be happy, find the best song to sing.
Everyone can do something about you, want me to do something. Situkakwe, ochisemu.
This is the story of a woman that founded Salin in 1991 to provide employment opportunities for women from rural areas. The organization works with loom that takes its roots at the very inception of Sri Lankan history. Today, this traditional craft faces decline due to uncompetitive market prices, outdated designs, and lack of infrastructure and technology. Celine takes on this challenge to revive this heritage and extend its benefits to rural women, creating a better world by and for women.
As a child, I had this big urge that I should do something for the women in our country, and first I was thinking about going to parliament and becoming a politician, but that dream never materialized. But later I found that for a woman to be empowered, it was more of an economic empowerment, because I am from a background that we had a very difficult childhood, and I didn't have a lot of money, just the bare necessities. So after I graduated and became a lawyer, I was not really happy doing my legal work, getting money for myself, but I really wanted to invest it in the society to do something meaningful and sustainable so that I could touch the lives of so many women. I started with the hand loom first, the weaving, and we had 15 women at the start, and it became 100, then it became 400, and now it's a lot. I think the total impact might be about 1,000 women. They are from the vicinity, some are from the areas where the war was, and some are from the conflict areas, and most of the women are from the northwestern province, from the rural backgrounds. And our mission is also to try and dissuade women from going to the Middle East as domestic workers to earn, because we believe firmly, me as a mother, I believe firmly that the woman, the mother, should be at home and give emotional support to the child. We have been able, through our creativity and through our hard work and also through our determination, to bring it where it is today. Now we own 4 shops locally, and we do export, and we have, I think, about 18 to 20 customers in Europe, in Australia, in Scandinavia, and in Japan. And I think we are quite stable. In the year 2000, Celine got the fair trade status, and we became full members of the fair trade organization, and we are very pleased about it, because it is helping us a lot to be truly dedicated to the mission, what we are supposed to do and what we are dedicated to do. That is to do our best for the betterment and to lift the living conditions of the rural women through the handloom industry, which is also a traditional industry which is being perished in the country. I think a woman is a pivotal role in the family, and if we strengthen the women, the society is strengthened, and actually, irrespective of the status, I feel that every woman goes through a certain stage in the life where they are mentally or physically abused. So I see that around me, and I think we should do something to address that, and I'm doing it in my small way.
Pues mis amigos, yo estaba en un grupito que se llama los bombásticos, que son peladitos que para vos estar con ellos tenés que probar, y probar es como pelear con alguien para pertenecer a ese grupo y que nadie se meta con vos ni nada, como una banda. Y yo estaba en ese cuento. Bueno, estaba empezando y ya estaba con ellos y todo eso, entonces... Y casi todos están muertos, todos. Entonces yo le doy gracias a Dios y a mi abuelo, que fue también que influyó mucho para yo estar en la fundación, que me cambiaron el rumbo.
Working a lot with the actual institutions that took, the children were placed there for protection. So either they've been taken off the streets or they've been taken away from families because of difficult things in the families. We founded it in Cali in 1995. The idea was to make a professional circus school, a long program, but to get there we started first of all with community workshops, then instructor training, and then the professional school started like in 1997. 4-year course. So that they leave with a diploma in the hand and a career in front of them.
La Fundación Circo para Todo hacen unos talleres en casas de bajos recursos. Empiezan con unos talleres que son como 6 meses. De ahí lo cogen a uno y le hacen unas evaluaciones para entrar a la escuela, a la sede. Entonces lo que pasa después de los 6 meses es que lo llevan a uno a la escuela y uno empieza a estudiar, que son 2 años que se aprende todas las técnicas de la fundación, todo lo que se llama circo, todo lo que incluye al circo. Y los otros 2 años son de preparación de su número, del número en sí que uno dice, este es el que más me gusta. Yo describiría la vida del circo como una oportunidad para las personas que de pronto no saben qué hacer en la vida, ¿entiendes? Entonces, ¿qué es lo que yo veo? Que si yo, por ejemplo, mi vida, si no hubiera sido por el circo, yo no estaría en este planeta. Yo de pronto estaría en otra circunstancia. No creo que fuera a llegar a conocer todo lo que conozco, pero para mí es una forma de vida que es la más linda.
Circus is an art of perfection. You're never happy. It's really, really, really hard work, a lot of determination, a lot of discipline. So the life is good, but it's hard. It's pretty aesthetic. What's great about circus is that circus itself, the learning of circus, it's really fun. The other one is that it's inspirational and it's aspirational as an art form to perform it or to watch it, as you see with the publics. And another one is that those very basic things you learn, like solidarity, trust that when I jump somebody's going to catch me, trust myself and trust the others to look after me. Collaboration, cooperation, these are vital things to make a show happen. And they're just basic circus requirements, yeah? Basic values that really feed into other areas of their life.
Y sí somos, o sea, ahorita somos como una familia porque pasamos más tiempo nosotros viajando, trabajando, que con nuestra propia familia. Y entonces así nosotros reímos, lloramos, nos molestamos, peleamos, o sea, peleamos no golpes, sino, ay, que el número, pero peleamos para mejorar el número. Duramos 5 minutos bravos y después parcero y otra vez. Y eso es como que lo más bacano también. O sea, uno hace equipo, hace familia. Entonces siempre hay algún día que vos estás mal, ellos te ayudan. Está mal otro, vos les ayudas. Siempre estamos como siempre unidos.
The impact of Circo para Todos is given to date. More than 5,000 people have been part of these community workshops, and so that's where they learn these general values and have a good, healthy occupation of their time. Those that have gone into the professional school, there's 108 graduates now on the world stage. So that's quite a big economic impact on those people, not just them, but the family, because everybody's sending money back to their families. 22 of them have bought houses for their families. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's a big social, cultural, economic impact. Besides earning the living of everybody and the technicians and everybody who's involved, and especially the artists, I hope we just give so much back to every person that pays for a ticket. You know, I think it's a really lovely synergy, this, you know, to be able to do a job that fills people with hope, fills people with inspiration, and if you want to call us social entrepreneurs, that is what we are.
We visited the Al Rawad Center in Bethlehem, an independent, non-political organization founded in 1988 to give the local community a platform from which to tell their stories through arts, as well as equipping community members with concrete skills to work more effectively for sustainable social change.
We are in Aida refugee camp, which is one of 59 refugee camps which were established after what we call Nakba, or catastrophe, when almost 70% of Palestinians became refugees. I was born in this camp, and I was born in the shelters, so it was in 1963. I am the youngest of 14, but among these 14, 10 died a few months or a few years old because of poverty, sickness, cold, malnutrition, and so on. I was one of the lucky people to get a scholarship to continue my studies in France, where I got my PhD in biological and medical engineering. My heart was also with theater, with painting, with photography, so it was a great opportunity to develop the artistic side, but mostly a discovery of who I was. When you are outside the box, it's an amazing opportunity to look at yourself, you look at your country and see how others look at you. The media, we existed as terrorists. So everybody was talking about Palestinians as terrorists, but as human beings to be determined. So thinking how we can show this other image of Palestine, staying 9 years in France was a good way to reflect on this, see the impact of theater on me. Theater for me remains one of the most amazing, powerful, civilized, creative, truthful, non-politically correct ways to express yourself, tell your story, your version of your story, and build the peace within. So that's why when I came back in 1994, it was an amazing opportunity to work with my biology degree to earn my living, but also volunteering to train theater, photography, and then in 1998 with a group of friends I founded Al Rawad. Al Rawad means the pioneers in Arabic. Well, Al Rawad started in 1998 working with children because it was important to give children the possibility to grow up as healthy as possible, see their potential as changing the world and staying alive, and not just being another number on a list of martyrs or handicapped for the rest of their lives, or perish in Israeli prison or any prison in the world, in fact. We didn't have a space at that time because I was on the board of the youth center in the camp, so we're training next to now the quay at the entrance of the camp, but it was also the area of a lot of confrontation. So even though I was training the young people there and the children, at a certain time there was tear gas, everybody was imprisoned within this, and at a certain time I had 60 kids training, and all the center was enveloped by tear gas. So in a refugee camp like Aida, where 2/3 of this population are under 24 years old, about 6,000 people living in Aida camp, and no playgrounds or green spaces, surrounded by this illegal wall of expansion and annexation with frequent incursions by the Israeli occupation army. The possibility and the vision was how to save lives, how to inspire hope, how to give our children and young people the possibility to shout as big as they want, what they want to say, and stay alive. And at the end of the day, we want people, young people everywhere in the world, to think that how can they live for their country and not die for their country, and hopefully think that they can change the world and create miracles without need to carry a gun and shoot everybody else or explode themselves or burn themselves, but to stay alive. So that's why it was a vision of life and hope, not a vision of death and despair. And theater serves this vision very much. But of course, not everybody wants to do theater. So we added dance, photography, video, music, singing, games, and have fun, and also respond to the needs of the community when there is need.
Here in Al Rawad, we are working on the idea of the beautiful resistance against the ugliness of occupation. Because of
the location of the camp and the wall that sits on the land of the camp, we started that idea. The children do not have that much services or that much entertainment activities. Here in Arwad we are providing those activities for free. We are adopting those children, qualifying them, trying to promote life and inspire home. Having different ages, starting to have our own choir troupe from the children of the camp, our own Dabka troupe, the Palestinian folkloric dance troupe, going out of Palestine to show all the people our Palestinian issue and their issue as refugees in the camp. For the women here, we are trying to improve the role of Palestinian women, even if they are refugees. We believe that they have the chance to live their normal lives. We have our vocational training program as well for the women, trying to get to provide like a minimum of income for those women, especially after the second intifada. Most of the men here in the camp just lose their permit to go and work in the occupied territories. So the women should have the rule to get that income for the families. We are working on sewing programs with women, promoting their products down in our gift shop, helping them to get that income.
It's important thing to use the art because as incubation is cancel and to try to cancel and delete Palestinian histories and Palestinian culture, because that's what it was Ruad give it to me to express about myself, to express about our culture and our history. Beautiful this is mean to use the art to express about your situation. Beautiful this is mean to use the dance to express about your culture. Beautiful this is mean to use the education to speak about your history, to speak about your culture and to use it in the future to be a change maker for Palestinian situation.
My hope is that again and again we can leave a better heritage for our children and the generations to come. We can feel comfortable in working for a world which values life much more than death. Give these young people the possibility to say what they want to say and stay alive and live for their countries and the world and not die for whatever cause they are defending.
Our journey brought us to Rwanda, where we visited Azizi Life, a social enterprise that supports the collective work of rural artisans working together in cooperatives.
nifuza ko igihugu cyaba cyiza, abana b'u Rwanda bazavuka ibyo bintu ariko ntibazabiyoberwa, ariko byo bishobora kuzaba umwana w'umuhutu, umwana w'umututsi, ari umwana w'umutwa, bakamenya ko ari abana b'abanyarwanda, bakabana kivandimwe nk'uko byahoze imbere ubukoroni butara. Abatwa nibo bagaragaraga ariko abahutu nta kintu bagaragara.
Irumete winjire mumaraso ya Yesu uzashira.
Ngo aho jenoside irangiriye ntashye, ariko hakaba hari ahantu nacuruzaga hitwa kuri Caritas, nibwo navuye i Kigali nsubira iwacu kuhaba mbura icyo mfata mbura icyo ndeka. Hano hariho abaresikapi bari bahari bagera nko kuri bangahe, ndabafata ndababwira ni muze tujye kuboha, ari mu rwego rwo gushaka kwikuramo ibibazo biturimo. Ntabwo twabohaga icyo gihe tubohera amafaranga, bwari uburyo bwo kugira ngo abantu tuganire umuntu akire ibibazo uretse ko bitakiraga, kuko burya n'ibitekerezo bibi bya jenoside burya umuntu abitekereza cyane ari uko arashonje afite, icyo gihe ahinduka ukundi iyo nta kintu afite. Ubundi mu Rwanda kugira ngo ruzaba neza ababibonye tutakiriho, ubwo bagiye banyegera, ubwo nibwo twakoranaga noneho dushinga koperative ifatanije abicanyi n'abiciwe. Ubwo tugakora mbese ku buryo urumva niba nari narapfushije sinari kuba jyenyine, uwo nabonaga yansangaga naramwakiraga, ari uwicanye ari uticanye nshoboraga kubyemera, hari n'abatabyemeraga kuba nyegereye nkamwakira gutyo nkabishenye. Ese umuntu yakora wenyine?
Azizi is a Swahili word, kind of old school Swahili that comes from the Arabic, that means precious or treasured. And so we're Christians and we believe that everybody's life is Azizi, not only because of our common humanity, but because we are loved by God. And so we chose Azizi Life because we want to work with the artisans and with rural Rwandans specifically, so that they can thrive and have the full lives that they are working towards.
So we came up with the idea of creating a business that could collect products, sell them outside the country, and then bring money into the rural communities. The idea behind Azizi Life was to take the artisans, as they were the group that were struggling the most, because back in 2007, predominantly, probably about 70 or 80% of crafts were purchased by Rwandans. But Rwandans were only paying really the raw material costs and a little bit more. They used for weddings and celebrations, but it wasn't a good business for the artisans. So we thought if we took them, we helped them produce something of good quality that would be desirable to people overseas. We could then buy that from them at a fair price, send the products overseas, get our money back and buy more crafts. And so we decided to set up a small exporting company, working with just probably around 20 artisan groups that we started with. I saw that social enterprise, or at least creating employment, was a better long-term solution than development work. Development work is needed, there's still a place for it. For example, if we were in a war zone or if there was an emergency, then we definitely do need people bringing aid in to stop people starving. You need help building the infrastructure. But once you get past that kind of emergency point, once you have the infrastructure in place, I think what business and social enterprise offers is a longer term solution. So instead of being dependent on somebody providing the solutions, they become the solution providers themselves. So they're able to sort out their own problems.
After the genocide, people, we were like lost, but if you see where we came from and where we are at today, there is a big promise that Rwanda is going to be like a best country to live in.
Recent years have witnessed an enormous increase in demonstrations across the world. Citizens have challenged what they see as a deterioration of democratic institutions and the very civil, political, and social rights that form the basis of democratic life. While civil society is becoming more apolitical, collective actions are triggering off new alternatives to tackle local and global issues. Today, global communities bounded by a general discontent are starting to seize their own destiny, giving voice to concerns about rights, welfare, and well-being of themselves and of others through different forms of collectivism. For solidarity and reciprocity are not politically constructed. Driven by compassion and empathy, different groups are emerging to change the course of humanity.
We believe that one of the problems in the world is the balance of power between citizens and governments and corporations. And we firmly believe that, democratic improvements should be in hands of citizens in a bottom-up approach. It started in 2008, just really like a month after the financial crisis. I was living in London and Gunnar was in Iceland, was protesting in the street. We were talking online and thinking if we could do something, especially to try to give citizens more influence, because at the time we felt that the government and the system had totally failed us.
Yeah, it's always been talked about as the economic crash, which is true, but we recover from stuff like that. The big problem is a trust crash. Is that, even before the crash, people didn't really have much faith in institutions like the parliament. But after the crash, it just fell down to, 7% people that really trusted the parliament, for example, if I recall correctly.
But then we saw an opportunity. There was an upcoming city election in 2010. So what we did, we launched an e-participation website where people could propose their own ideas and they could vote up and down other people's ideas and debate ideas about how to make the city better. So every month, people could propose ideas, vote ideas up and down, and the top ideas, like between 12 and 15 every month, they go into the relevant committees in the city, like the education committee or a planning committee, whatever. It's not guaranteed that the ideas just can be accepted. Sometimes it's accepted, sometimes it's mixed into other things that are happening in the city, so it's partly accepted, but sometimes it's rejected. But the thing is that each time something happens with the idea, everybody who was participating in it, voting on it or whatever, they get an email about the status of it. So even if the idea is rejected, then people still feel like they have a conversation and they're listened to, and then they know it's not possible. We measure our success in terms of change that can be actually happen in reality.
Obviously, the participation is one of the major measures of success which we use, because that's what we're trying to do, is increase participation.
We have around 11,000 registered users in Reykjavik. It's quite a lot. There's 120,000 total who live here, like young and old people and everything counted. But we were fighting a very strong sentiment of distrust in politics and politicians. And we're fighting, like, people say, oh, is it really going to matter if I'm going to participate? Is it really going to matter if it goes into the city council? Are they really going to listen?
And the thing is that the politicians will not listen unless lots of participation, lots of people behind it. And the people are not that really willing to participate unless they know that they're going to be listened to. So you have a catch-22 situation. That's not Icelandic specific. That's world over. That's everywhere. And this is just something that has to be solved on each basis with using different methods, because this is not an unsolvable problem. It just needs less apathy to solve the problem of apathy, if you see what I mean.
Why we're doing this? I think it boils down again to this question of equality and trying to change the path of always increasing inequality. Because I'm personally afraid for me and my children and future generations, and is that if we go down this path too far, it will fix itself, but it will be violent, And it's I think that being a pacifist as well is that I think our best chance to get more equality is to have the citizens in a peaceful way, come together and demand it.
Throughout the world, groups of people have been using complementary currencies for centuries. Since the 1980s, these have been used particularly to invest in local economies, creating a small-scale alternative to neoliberalism, aiming to live in a more sustainable, sharing, and prosperous world. While it is debatable whether or not its impact is significant in economic terms, the reality is that not everything can be measured in financial or monetary standards. Collectivism, localism, and reliance are uncountable concepts.
Complementary currencies are another form of currency that run alongside whatever there is that is existing. So in the UK we have pound sterling. The idea of a complementary currency is one that can be used in addition to it, so not alternatively to it. There are 5 at the moment. So the first one to launch was Totnes, and following that there are currencies launched in Stroud and in Lewis. And then the Brixton pound was launched in 2009 as the 4th local currency or community currency in the UK. And since we've launched, Bristol set up their own one in 2012, which is citywide, so that's actually now the biggest in Europe.
It's about supporting local independent businesses, and local independent businesses in particular are really important. They give loads of different benefits to a city or to an area. So they give economic diversity, they create different sense of identity, so that your town looks like your town and not like every other town. It doesn't look like a clone.
Aquí no es una moneda sin más que se cambie por euros, sino que tiene una carta de valores, un cuaderno de valores que es el que da sentido al proyecto, que son valores que tienen que ver con la ecología, con la igualdad de género, con potenciar la cultura local y la lengua local, con potenciar también unos valores sociales más éticos. Entonces todos los comercios que se adhieren a la red comparten esos valores, con lo cual cualquier persona usuaria que comparta también esos valores se implica en el proyecto para utilizar X y promover justamente los valores que ya tiene. X en euskera es el sol, en euskera antiguo, y además está muy relacionado con el equilore, que es una flor, que se utiliza, un cardo, que se utiliza como protección para los malos espíritus en los caseríos, en los baserris, en las casas rurales del País Vasco. Entonces, por un lado, pues tiene ese significado del sol, de luz, y por otro lado, bueno, pues el X queremos que sea un poco el espíritu que proteja a la comunidad de la economía que no nos está haciendo ningún bien. Empezó a gestarse el grupo promotor y empezó en octubre del 2011, hace 2 años y medio. Y el 3 de marzo en concreto, pues ya finalmente se puso en marcha y empezó a circular fundamentalmente por el casco viejo de Bilbao, pero poco a poco se van añadiendo comercios a la red de diferentes pueblos y de diferentes barrios.
The Brixton Pound was launched by volunteers with the support of local businesses who actually provided some of the startup money to help us print paper notes. And on the day of the launch, there were 70 businesses who said who were signed up to accept this new currency. Now it's around 300, so that's a considerable chunk of Brixton's independent businesses. It's growing, but I would say we're actually at a stage now where you can almost buy anything retail in Brixton pounds. I think I could probably live on it.
So right now there's about 700 businesses that accept Bristol pounds. Within that's 700 businesses, all of them accept the paper currency. There's nothing you have to do to accept the paper currency, you just say yes and you accept it. But within that there's about 450 that can trade Bristol pounds electronically as well. So they've got accounts, they can pay the cash into their accounts, they can pay other traders electronically or accept payment by text. Bristol pound is the same value as sterling, but you can spend it either as cash or you can spend it electronically. So the cash is pretty simple. It works a bit like a gift voucher. So you go in with your £100 worth of sterling and you swap £100 worth of sterling for 100 Bristol pounds, one for one. It's exactly the same value. And then once you've got it in your pocket, you can go and spend it with all the businesses that will accept it.
The Brixton pound is a sterling-backed currency, so it's one-to-one exchanged with pound sterling. And it's this idea of, when you go and pay in Brixton pounds, you're turning what is normally a very passive means of exchange, where you just hand over a banknote to somebody. Actually, what the Brixton pound does is it kind of creates this connection where the business knows that you are a local consumer and that you're a consumer who, by choice, is choosing to use a different form of money. And you start that conversation. So it's about forming connections really between local people and the small business community.
This Brixton pound is something really original to actually keep the community together, and it's a really good, lovely idea, I guess. I use it to pay other shops, because especially I got the fruit and veg stall, which is here on the corner. They have set Brixton pound, they are part of it, so I pay my weekly expense in fruit and veg with the Brixton pound. So that's or sometimes when I want to have something to eat that's not focaccia, I go to other places where they have set it and I pay with the Brixton pound.
There's a lot of people in Bristol that get the ideas, that totally get support local independent businesses is good for the community and really fun. It's just more interesting to go to grocers as opposed to the same old supermarket, which is the same in all of its 1,000 stores, exactly the same. And there's also people that get the idea of keeping money in the community and getting the idea of social capital, and talking to people in your neighbourhood and knowing people in your local area is really important for so many different reasons. And a lot of people in Bristol, probably the UK's leading green city, a lot of people get sustainability. I mean, there's different visions of how you get to a more sustainable economy.
Pues a mí fundamentalmente fue el cuestionarme el efecto que tiene el dinero en la sociedad actual. Entonces, antes de empezar a estar en X, pues ya había leído sobre moneda social, sobre cómo funciona el dinero, y me daba cuenta de que el dinero no es neutro, de que el dinero, los euros, los dólares, tal y como están creados, obedecen a unos intereses, obedecen a unos objetivos, y que no son precisamente los intereses y los objetivos de la mayoría, sino de un grupo muy concreto y muy selecto de personas. Entonces me planteaba la posibilidad de crear un proyecto que moviera un dinero que no fuese competitivo, sino que fuese un dinero cooperativo, un dinero que beneficiara a la mayoría.
People across the globe have lost faith in the ability of government and business leaders to resolve the problems that humanity is facing. Democracy is the rule by the majority and seems to be the only way to provide equality for all. However, in this principle of justice, there's not always a room for the voiceless and the invisibles. Minority groups still struggle for recognition and try to maintain their individual values while assimilating into the larger group. The harder their struggle, the more glorious their triumph.
ऊपर अटैक हुआ था, मैं 3 साल की थी, आज मैं 24 साल की हूँ। मेरे ऊपर अटैक मेरे पापा ने किया था। मेरे पापा के चाचा ताऊ ने करवाया था। उनको हमारी ज़मीन ज़्यादा छीननी थी, लेकिन उन्होंने पापा के सामने ये जाहिर किया कि लड़की हो रही हैं, लड़के तो है नहीं हैं, और हम इनका क्या करेंगे, तू इनका क्या करेगा, इनकी शादी ब्याह करेगा, मतलब वगैरह वगैरह। उनको बहुत भड़काया, और तू इनको ऊपर एसिड तेजाब डालिया और जेल वगैरह हो गई तो हम तुझे छुड़ा लेंगे और तेरी शादी वादी दूसरी कर देंगे, कम से कम लड़का तो होगा।
मेरी पहली बात तो ये मेरी फैमिली वाली ने, ससुराल वाली ने मतलब तेजाब डरवाया, बेटी है।
I am Abhilash from Team Stop Acid Attacks. It is known also as an International Women's Day, and when we started 2013, it was just an idea to collect more people so that we can share about the issue and what kind of problems against acid attacks and for the survivors we are facing. It was just an idea to collect more people through a web portal, and day by day we have connected more peoples and more survivors. So for that, after 3 to 4 months, we need to set up a center where we can take survivors from different states and different cities, so that we can provide them a lot of facilities, so that they are not getting from their local level hospitals and all. So we have to set up a center, and we have named it Chhau, and currently it is registered named at Chhau Foundation. Our team members, the founder members of Stop Acid Attacks, Mr. Alok, Mr. Ashim and Mr. Ashish, was just working before as a journalist, and what they found, everyone is talking about robberies, everyone is talking about child abuse, human rights, and different kinds, and nobody is talking about acid attacks. What is this? Why this is happening? And what kind of problems these girls have in their lives. So it was just an idea came in their mind to, we have to do something for this cause as well, and we have to do something for the survivors as well.
सबसे इम्पॉर्टेंट चीज़ ये होती है एसिड अटैक सर्वाइवर के लिए कि अटैक के बाद जो उसका उसकी जो दशा होती है, जो इसकी मेंटल स्टेटस होता है, वो बहुत ख़राब हो जाता है। वो सोसाइटी से इंटरेक्ट नहीं कर पाता है, वो अपने आप को सोसाइटी से बहुत कटा सा महसूस करता है। तो इसके लिए हम लोगों ने सोचा क्यों ना इन्हें मेन स्ट्रीम मीडिया में लाया जाए, नई सोसाइटी से। जब इंडिया में निर्भया मूवमेंट हुआ था, उस समय बहुत सारी बात हो रही थी विमेन वायलेंस को लेकर कि क्या होगा क्या नहीं होगा। तो एसिड अटैक एक ऐसा मुद्दा था, एक ऐसा जिस पे अभी तक काम नहीं हुआ था। हम लोग कैंपेन इसलिए बने कि सर्वाइवर्स को कनेक्ट करें, मतलब एक जगह डेटा, उनकी प्रोफाइलिंग करना, उनका मेडिकल इन्फॉर्मेशन रखना कि उनको कितनी सर्जरी होनी है, कितनी नहीं होनी है, और उनको कंपनसेशन मिला है कि नहीं मिला है।
Currently we are working, means we have done research data of the acid attack cases in last 2 years, and it is more than 350 cases, and currently we have associated with 80 plus survivors, and they are from different states, and that's why we are in process to set up more ventures called where they got empowered and they get rehabilitated at their level. As per our research project, we found that more than 70% cases just happened because of jilted lovers or one-sided love. The people a time they always propose, and once the girl denied their proposal, they got aggressive at that time, and they wanted to destroy her beauty, her face, her identity and all.
मेरा नाम डॉली है, मेरी एज 15 साल की है, मैं आगरे से बिलोंग करती हूँ। ऐसे मैं स्कूल पढ़ने जाती थी तो एक लड़का जो मुझसे बदतमीजी करता था, मैंने मम्मी को बोला अपनी को, मम्मी ने उस लड़के को डांटा। तो फिर मैं घर पे कैरम बोर्ड खेल रही थी तो वो घर पे आके मेरे ऊपर अटैक ऐसे डाल के गया। मैं फिर चीखी चिल्लाई, मेरे फेस पे जलन मचने लगी। तो उस टाइम बहुत जला मस्जिद मेरे फेस पे, तो मैंने नीचे भाग नहीं, सब लोग आए, मैं चीख रही थी तो उन लोगों ने मेरा फेस देखा, रोने लगे, फिर उन्होंने मेरे फेस पे पानी डाला ठंडा ठंडा, फेस धुलाया मेरा.
Through this campaign, we have done lot of awareness and lot of people come forward and support us that we have to do this kind of protest, this kind of campaigns, and it is just getting improving day by day. Like when we found at the beginning, no accused was behind the bars at that time, but currently we found that in a lot of cases the judgment has been made by the government very quickly, and a lot of accused are just behind the bars at present.
2013 में के पहले जितने भी एसिड एक्ट्स हैं उनमें मतलब आप उनके डेटा नहीं मांग सकते हो गवर्नमेंट से, क्योंकि 2013 के पहले लॉ ही नहीं था इंडिया में. 2013 बिफोर इंडिया में कोई लॉ नहीं था, आईपीसी कोई नहीं थी. तो 2013 के बाद जब 326 आईपीसी इंडियन पिनल कोड 2326 में अमेंडमेंट हुआ, तब जाके एसिड टैक्स कैटेगराइज हुआ.
For their rights we have done lot of campaigns. If we talk about campaigns, so just one of them is shoot acid, where we have to spy about acid shops where we can get acid easily, and it was just an sting operation to regulate the acid sale, and we have done lot of work with for this campaign and some of impacts as well. After that we have done a campaign like Spot of Shame. We have marked 50 cities where acid attack happened in the past and people doesn't know about it. So in that campaign we have organized a local meeting with the local media channels, and we have marked that place as Spot of Shame, like this is the place where an acid attack what happened with a girl in presence of yours, but you didn't do anything in support of that girl. Even you just blame for the attack, just that girl was just blamed for this. Last year in December 2014 we have done a hunger strike protest in support of acid attack survivors, where we have pointed some of major demands, like a fast track court should be there for survivors, and special treated staff in the hospitals must be there, and compensation law should be implemented very quickly, and acid means open sale of acid should be regulated. So this kind of demands. And Lakshmi is a survivor who got attacked in 2004, and after 2 years of attack, when she got little healed, she filed an PIL in Supreme Court against open sale of acid. That should be regulated. So after 6 years of trials and all, the decision was made by the Supreme Court as acid sales should be regulated, and everyone should show their ID card before buying acid. So it was a law just passed against her PIL what she has filed, and there are different changes has been made by the government, like compensation law has been implemented very quickly, and the treatment facility for the survivors in either government hospital or in a private hospital is absolutely free.
अटैक होने के बाद मतलब पापा भी सपोर्ट नहीं करते थे, और मतलब इलाज में काफ़ी सारी चीज़ें में बहुत दिक्कत आई थी. सिर्फ अंकल ने ट्रीटमेंट के लिए सपोर्ट किया था, बाकी जो समाज है ये जीने नहीं देता है, और फेस कवर करके हम लोग चलते थे. अब तो कैंपेन में जुड़ने के बाद फेस ओपन करके चलते हैं, लेकिन पहले हम लोग फेस कवर करके चलते थे. लेकिन लेडीज से फिर भी ताना मारती रहती थी, मतलब गलत हमारे बारे में गलत सोचते थे. लेकिन हमें अब कोई फ़र्क नहीं पड़ता. शायद पहले फ़र्क पड़ता था, लेकिन अब नहीं पड़ता. वो हमारे बारे में कुछ भी बोले, हमें उससे कोई लेना देना नहीं है. लेकिन इसमें हमारी गलती नहीं है, गलती उसने की जिसने हमारे पर अटैक किया है. तो हम क्यों डरे, हम क्यों फेस कवर करके चलें. फेस कवर उसको करना चाहिए जिन्होंने हमारे साथ ये किया.
मेरे अटैक से पहले मैं 10th स्टैंडर्ड में, मैंने 10th स्टैंडर्ड करके 11th स्टैंडर्ड में मैं गई थी, और मैं वॉलीबॉल खेलती थी. मैंने स्टेट लेवल पे खेला. सबसे पहले तो अटैक होने के बाद पूरा लाइफ डिस्टर्ब हो गया मेरा. मुझे स्पोर्ट्स से बहुत प्यार है, वो मेरा छूट गया, मेरा पढ़ाई छूट गया।
मैं तो ऐसे लगा रही हूँ कौन सी सीधी।
मेरे बहुत सारे फ्रेंड्स छूटे, बट ठीक है, अभी अच्छे से मुझे बाहर निकलने में थोड़ा टाइम लगेगा। मुझे तो फोर्स नहीं हो पाया लाइफ में किसी एक लड़की की भी हेल्प कर पाऊँ तो मुझे लगेगा कि मेरा लाइफ में आना सक्सेसफुल हुआ।
जब थोड़ा ठीक होने लगी 20-25 दिन बाद अपने घर गई तो मेरी मम्मी ने मेरे आगे से शीशा हटा दिया था, मतलब कि आईना नहीं देखने देती थी मुझे। हाँ, तो घर पे मैं सबसे कहती थी मुझे आईना दिखा दो, मेरा फेस क्या था मुझे दिखा। तो एक बार मेरी बहन है वो बाल काट के सामने शीशा रख गई थी मेरे आगे, तो फिर मैंने उस शीशे को अपनी तरफ देखा। उस शीशे को देख के मैं बहुत तेज रोने लगी, मतलब कि मैं चेहरा कवर करके चलती थी। 1 साल हो गई थी मुझे, मैं घर से बाहर नहीं निकलती थी। मम्मी कहती थी बेटा बाहर जा, मैं मम्मी मैं नहीं जा रही, मुझे डर लगता था, कभी शर्म लगती थी, मैं जाती नहीं थी बाहर। 1 साल हो गए मैं घर से बाहर नहीं निकलती थी।
ये एक स्टिग्मा था जो ऐसे अटैक सर्वाइवर्स को लेकर कि सर्वाइवर्स बाहर नहीं निकल सकती, वो एम्पावर नहीं हो सकती।
The aim of Sham Foundation is to rehabilitate more survivors. As government doesn't have any kind of plan to relevant to the rehabilitation of the survivors, so we are in process to set up more ventures where we can empower more of survivors. And also we can organize the women-centric work. So, the survivors generally are from a middle level background, and they didn't have lot of skills, so we have to organize sometimes skill development sessions for them so that we can make them more talented and more skillful. Like that we have set up the center called Shiro's Hangout, where 5 acid attack survivors, Rupa, Ritu, Dolly and Geeta, they are working at Shiro's Hangout.
शीरोज हैंगआउट एक यही आइडिया है कि वो बताता है उनकी लाइफ बहुत अच्छी है, वो काम कर सकती हैं और वो मेन स्ट्रीम में आके लोगों के सामने बात कर सकती हैं, कम्युनिकेट कर सकती हैं और अपने सपने जी सकती हैं।
जब से कैंपिंग से जुड़े हैं, जब से ज़िंदगी इतनी अच्छी हो गई है, मतलब पहले मरने का मन करता था और अब जीने का मन करता है, सब लोगों के साथ में रह के, भैया लोगों के साथ में रह के। पहले मतलब क्या बोलते हैं, मतलब पहले मतलब हमसे नफरत करते थे वही लोग आज हमसे अच्छे तरीके से बोल के चलते हैं, हंस के चलते हैं, मतलब अच्छा लगता है। और अब लाइफ तो मतलब ये है कि मैं तो भाई नॉर्मल की तरीके से जी रही हूँ, मैं ये सोच के नहीं जी रही हूँ मेरे साथ कुछ हुआ है। मैं अब जब से कैंपिंग से जुड़ी हूँ, जब से मैं ये सोचती हूँ मेरे साथ कुछ नहीं हुआ है, नॉर्मल हूँ। मेरा सपना यही है कि मेरी भगवान 2 नहीं तो मेरी लड़की की एक आँख दे दे, और जैसे दुनिया तुम लोग मुझे सपोर्ट कर रहे हैं, जैसे कोई परेशान है, दिन दुखी है, बिन को भी हम भी बहुत सपोर्ट करें और हम भी मदद करें। बस ये नहीं खाए के और धन दौलत जोड़ के मर जाओ, बाका कौन दे के वो।
पहले जो मैं उधर मतलब कि पहले मैं बीच में बिल्कुल मस्ती करना भूल गई थी। अब यहाँ पे आके मेरी वही लाइफ हो गई, जो मतलब कि पहले डॉली थी वही डॉली अब हो गई है। जो पहले डॉली मस्ती करती थी वही डॉली अब मस्ती करती है।
हम कैसे क्राइम को कम कर सकते हैं? मतलब बात ये भी आती है ना कि क्राइम तो कम नहीं हो रहा है, मतलब एसिड अटैक्स तो लगातार हो रहे हैं, रेप लगातार हो रहे हैं, तो इसके लिए कहाँ पर कानून भी बहुत सारे बन रहे हैं, मतलब लॉ बहुत सारे बन रहे हैं, तो उसके लिए क्या करना होगा? इसके लिए यही करना होगा कि सोसाइटी को पहले सिविलाइज होने की ज़रूरत है, मतलब कि सिविलाइजेशन बहुत ज़रूरी है और सोशल रिफॉर्म बहुत ज़रूरी है इसके लिए।
पहले तो जब मैं इंटरव्यू देती थी तो मैं रोने लग जाती थी, क्योंकि वही चीज़ बार बार दोहराई जाती थी तो दुख होता था। लेकिन अब दुख नहीं होता, क्योंकि खुशी मिलती है कि शायद हम अपने बारे में बताएंगे तो लोगों तक ये बात पहुंचेगी, शायद और ज़्यादा एसिड अटैक ना हो।
बट पहले जब मेरे ऊपर अटैक हुआ था थोड़े टाइम तक मुझे बताने में डर लगता था, बट अब भी ऐसा लगता है लोग जानेंगे जब भी कुछ होगा, अवेयरनेस लाना है, अपना स्टोरी सामने रखना ही होगा, लेकिन बोलना तो होगा ही। तो ना स्टोरी बताते हैं, अच्छा लगता है, जितने लोगों तक बात पहुंचेगी तो चेंज आएगा।
मतलब कि जो दी बाहर नहीं निकली हैं वो बाहर आए, जो फाइट करे अपनी लाइफ में, जब तक वो फाइट नहीं करेंगे तब कुछ नहीं।
एक हंसी ख्वाब की थी तमन्ना मुझे, हाँ वही बन गए हो तुम, जिंदगी बन गए हो तुम। हर किसी से जिसे मैं छुपाती रही, बेखुदी में जिसे गुनगुनाती रही, मैंने तन्हा कभी
Sara is the meaning of the Japanese indigenous people, their word. So meaning of the healing power. And talking hands is the master. So he's the Dr. Sasada. He's a Japanese blind doctor. So he has a more 30 years experience as a trainer in Japan. His word is talking hands. So he wants to talk with the client through the hand. We offer the acupressure therapy. So it's kind of similar of acupuncture, but we don't use any needles. So instead of the needles, we use finger. So then call that acupressure therapy. So we don't need any remove the cross. So we don't use any oil, any chemicals. So we just using by the people's finger and the pressure point. First we thought to start this program, so maybe 2010. So because of that, I met one blind person in Sri Lanka. So then I just made a chat and I asked him that what's your job? So he said, no, I don't have any job. Oh, so maybe you can be the therapist. I just said, because in Japan it's very famous that blind people, so visually impaired people, that they can work as a therapist. So that's the starting the point of this program. We have already trained 7 blind people. After that, we employed 5 blind people in our center. So actually, in statistics in Sri Lanka, so more than 400,000 people are blind. So out of that, 80,000 people are totally blind. But out of that, maybe less than 1% they have a working opportunity.
In my childhood, I had sight, normal sight. Day by day, my sight lost. At that time, I haven't to do anything. I always in the room. I never try to go with friends outside. So I always at the home. Still, I can see a little bit, but it's not enough to work in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka hasn't done many jobs for a blind. I am 28 years old. This is my first job. So I never did a job before. As a therapist, if you're blind, it doesn't matter to do this job, because they can feel, they are very sensitive. They can find out where is the hard muscles, where is the problems in your body after touching. So they can feel very good than normal people.
My name is Mai and I'm from Sapa, but I live in the village. And I'm from the Black Hmong people tribe. All the minority, we speak different language and we wear different traditional clothes. And the culture is a little bit different too. Some local people in the village here, and not this village, any village, but like some children, before they never go to school, or they go to school and they just break out, like they go half, and then they just don't want to go to school.
When I was young, I also had an opportunity to go to school, and then I had to go into work. I was working on the tourism. I was like tour guide. In the beginning, I was like selling things on the street, and then I was working around the street for a couple of years, and I speak my English. I communicate to tourists who will come from around the world for trekking here. From what I can be in tourist guide, I think that I have connection with a lot of people, and I thinking that I want to open a company, a social entrepreneur, to help the other young youth to get better job and get better pay, and that they can help in their family. So that's why I have found Sapa Ochao in 2007.
Sapa Ochao is a name taken from the Hmong language. In fact, Ochao means thank you in the Hmong language. Sapa Ochao came from the belief that the ethnic minority people should have a part to play in the management of the tourism industry, and not just be passive instruments. So in 2007, 4 Australian girls had a friendship with a local Hmong lady called Shu Tan, and they came up with the idea of Sapa Ochao, a tourism social enterprise that would provide tour services, and the money made from these services would go into running beneficial services, community development services for the local community. If you fast forward to 2009, Sapa Ochao set up the first Hmong-owned homestay in the Sapa district. And then in 2010, Sapa Ochao set up a small school for ethnic minority children to get off the streets where they were selling handicrafts to tourists and get back into, or start for many people, for the first time, their education. In 2012, I think, we licensed our Sapa Ochao cooperative, and in 2013 we licensed Sapa Ochao travel company, Sapa Ochao Travel Co Limited, as the first ethnic minority owned and run tour company in Vietnam. Today we're luckily in the position that our trekking business, our trekking and homestays business, has become successful to the point where the revenue and the profits from that is enough to cover our costs. Step by step, we've gone from having no full-time staff, no paid staff, to having a team of 20 staff, a team of 20 tour guides, 35 students who are supported every day with food and accommodation and education. And on top of that, we've got 6 scholarship students around Vietnam who are studying at universities and colleges, and we're paying for that. All of this, or at least the majority of this, is being paid for by our own business. So it's a successful social enterprise model. We want to grow. We don't see this as the end of Sapa Ochao. What you see today is just today. In 5 years' time, hopefully you'll see it much better, and you'll see us in Hanoi, in Hoi An, in Saigon, maybe even in Cambodia, in Laos.
In our times, it is widely recognized that the economic and social development depends heavily on the protection of the environment and the reduction of the human impact. Nature shrinks as capital grows. The world's 3,000 largest companies are causing $1.4 trillion worth of environmental damage every year, and the growth of the market cannot solve the very crisis it creates. In nature's economy, the currency is not money, it is life. It's not an investment if it is destroying the planet. Environmental problems, which may have global impacts, are complex and often interrelated with socio-economic factors. Problems such as water and air pollution, generation of solid and hazardous waste, soil degradation, deforestation, climate change, and loss of biodiversity do not recognize political borders and pose major threats to human safety, health, and productivity. Social and solidarity initiatives play a crucial role in addressing this.
Millennium Elephant Foundation was founded in 1999. The foundation treats sick elephants. We have 8 elephants in residence here. We have a lot of elephants that come here for treatments. We have a good medical program, and we pay to treat the elephants. Some owners can't afford to keep their elephants. They might have inherited them through their families, and so we'll pay for their food, their medical treatments, the mahout, which is the elephant keeper's wages, and sometimes we go out to owners' houses where they have the elephants, and we'll treat them as well. My perception has changed a lot. When I first came here, I came originally as a volunteer, and I think I was thinking that I would be playing with elephants in the river, and now I have a hell of a lot more respect for an elephant. They live till about 70, 80. They're very similar to humans. They will reach adulthood at 18. They're so graceful. You can watch elephants for hours, the way that they use their trunks. You know, they'll pick up a stick and they'll scratch their backs. They are big, they're strong, you know, they can be dangerous, and they like to have their space. At the moment, they say roughly about 4,000 to 5,000 wild elephants. And I should imagine different people in Sri Lanka have different views. So the farmers see elephants as a pest. The elephants will walk through their crops, they will eat their crops, they will damage their crops. So there is a large human-elephant conflict in Sri Lanka. But other people in Sri Lanka, in religion, the elephant is seen as a religious symbol. So they also love the elephant. So different parts of Sri Lanka, I think, will see them differently. As part of the human-elephant conflict, there are some practices in Sri Lanka where they will get an explosive and they'll put it in fruit and put it in the jungles, and so the elephant will then go to eat the fruit and it will blow up their mouths. This is a really slow, painful death for the elephant because they can't eat, so they'll die of starvation. Most elephants in the wild probably have got gunshot wounds from farmers. Last year, 200 elephants and 50 people died from the conflict. I think where we work with the farmers, we've been trying to work with them by finding solutions of how to keep the elephants away from their crops. So we've been finding ways here by testing with our elephants whether they like certain fruits or like chili plants, but the elephants don't like chili plants. So we know that if we were to plant a lot of chilies around an area, they probably wouldn't go in. Also, elephants don't like bees. So one of the things that we've done is we've given a lot of the villagers, farmers, bee boxes, so that the elephants then won't go to their homes to destroy or to try and get food from the homes. Also with the villagers, we have given them all big bells, so when there is an elephant in the village, they can ring a bell to let other people know so they can get into their houses. The elephants eat about 150 to 200 kilos a day, so we have a lot of elephant dung. So we supply our elephant dung to Eco Maximus. We take maybe about 5 wheelbarrows per day. We have a volunteer program here, so the volunteer's job is to go around and collect the elephant dung. It needs to be a day or so old, or quite fresh for them. Then they dry the dung before they do their process of making the paper. We normally do about 5 wheelbarrows a day, but when if they have a big order, we can give a lot more. In return, we sell their products in our shop, and the profits that we make go to the charity, to Millennium Elephant Foundation.
In 1997, we started to recycle the paper waste that was generated from our printing establishment, which was our family business. That put me on to making handmade paper, but the elephant dung idea per se originated in Kenya, from which we borrowed, and I'm happy to say that we improved on, and we were the first to make paper out of elephant dung commercially in the world. We basically take industrial, mainly that is printing waste, and agricultural waste like banana bark, plus the most usable animal waste, which is elephant dung, and make something that is beautiful, something that's usable, mostly a gift item that's of novelty value. What I should stress here is that the raw material that we use is 100% waste, and we do not import any of the raw material, other than of course the cellophane for packaging, which is marginal. 99% of our product consists of local resources, as in raw material, and local talent. A small organization like us, we can of course be doing something like we are doing something positive, and we can be making a statement by raising the awareness of social issues, such as the preserving of trees, the importance of having forests, the importance of preserving the elephants, the importance of empowering the rural folk, the process of making the best use of your locally available resources.
Millions of people worldwide make a living collecting, sorting, recycling, and selling materials that someone else has thrown away. Vital actors in the informal economy, waste pickers provide widespread benefits to their communities, their municipalities, and the environment.
El sueño de los recicladores es permanecer en el oficio, tener buena remuneración, tener condiciones de dignidad en nuestro trabajo y poder hacer del reciclaje una empresa social que le dé beneficios a nuestras familias, pero también al país. Chicos de mediana edad, todos valoramos altamente nuestro oficio, por eso damos estas luchas tan grandes. Estas luchas son para nosotros épicas. El sueño mío es que los recicladores, no en Colombia, sino en todo el mundo, tengamos realmente el reconocimiento que la sociedad nos debe. Y que ese reconocimiento se traduzca en pago, en buenas condiciones de vida y de trabajo, y en protección a su oficio. a miles de recicladores, a mí me tocó empezar desde muy pequeña. Yo tenía 7 años cuando empecé a trabajar en el reciclaje de manera permanente. Y pues muchos, digamos que desde más pequeña, de todas maneras iba a la calle con mi mamá, pero no trabajando, sino acompañándola.
Nosotros comenzamos yo empecé con un carrito cerrado a recorrer todas las calles de Bogotá. Yo iba hasta la 179, 200, hasta la 200 íbamos con el carrito empujando. Recogíamos lo que era cartón, lo que trata todo lo que es un reciclaje, como recogíamos hueso, un tiempo recogíamos el hueso, botellas, el PET, plástico, archivo, cartón, todo eso lo recogíamos.
Yo soy Silvio Ruiz, soy reciclador. Bueno, Silvio Ruiz Grisales, ¿no? Porque mi mamá también cuenta. Soy reciclador desde los 12 años de edad y actualmente soy el representante legal de la Asociación Colombiana de Recicladores, una organización que tiene 140 recicladores afiliados en Bogotá, Cali, Manizales e Ibagué. Los primeros llamados basuriegos, que éramos nosotros los que estábamos en los botaderos, posteriormente fueron llamados desechables por los medios de comunicación. Al ser llamados desechables se dio la orden explícita de que pues algo desechable es algo que no sirve, que se usa y se bota, ¿sí? Como un pañal, como un vaso, ¿sí? Como cualquier cosa que es de un solo uso. Y las cosas que se movían en la basura, porque ni siquiera eran personas, eran cosas que se movían en las sombras, que se movían en la basura.
Y cada vez lo hacen en un esquema un poco más respetuoso, ¿no? Antes era mucho desprecio, porque a los recicladores a veces nos valoraban muchísimo menos que la basura, porque la basura era un mercado excelente para muchas empresas, pero no los recicladores tenían la misma valoración.
Esta organización básicamente surgió como por 2 o 3 razones importantes. Uno, por decirle a la sociedad que los recicladores existíamos. Los recicladores no existíamos para la política pública, para los medios de comunicación, no habían recicladores. Entonces, decirle a la sociedad que los recicladores existíamos. 2, que el trabajo de los recicladores que era intermediado, que es intermediado por muchas cadenas de intermediarios antes de llegar a la industria transformadora, genera muy poca renta para el reciclador de base, ¿sí? Y hay muchos intermediarios y todos ganan. Y el que más gana pues es la gran industria, ¿no? Pero de todas maneras el que menos gana es el que está en el botadero, en la calle, exponiéndose al sol, al agua, a la lluvia, ¿sí? 3, que dejaran de asesinarnos, porque había una oleada de masacres, de limpieza social en el país, porque se eliminaba comerciantes, políticos y habitantes, digamos, acomodados del país, pagaban sicarios para matar a recicladores que estorbaban, ¿sí? en las ciudades. Entonces esas eran como las razones básicas para que nos organizáramos como un gremio, ¿sí? Y ahí iniciamos todo el proceso de organización de los recicladores.
No somos empleados, no somos dueños tampoco, o sí somos dueños, pero cada uno prácticamente de su fuerza de trabajo. Entonces ese es como un estado intermedio entre estos otros 2 sistemas. Y contamos con la fortuna de este ente nacional que le digo que efectivamente tenía muy interiorizado y muy bien acopiado el concepto de lo que es el trabajo asociado. Y entonces desde esa época nuestros estatutos, nuestros reglamentos, son todos acordados entre la gente, porque como ninguno de nosotros es patrón del otro, ni ninguno de nosotros es empleado del otro compañero, sino somos todos trabajadores asociados. Entonces, efectivamente nada que se pueda llevar a cabo, puede ser que haya una persona dirigiendo o coordinando, pero es, digamos, como una de las reglas. O sea, no podemos estar todos en todo. Entonces hay que tener una orden, digamos, un orden organizativo, una organización más o menos con distribución de las cargas. Entonces, digamos que muchos trabajos son delegados.
Por lo menos en la calle van ellos, compañeros de nosotros van y recogen el material. De aquí se manda el camión, puede ser por la noche, van a recoger lo que es el recorrido de que, como decir, hoy están trabajando, entonces se hace un recorrido por la noche en el camión y se les recoge el material y aquí llega y se descarga por la mañana.
Pues el trabajo de los recicladores yo lo comparo un poco con el trabajo de la minería, ¿no? La minería, ya sea de carbón, de oro, de lo que sea, hay que estar escarbando, hay que estar separando. Entonces para nosotros, digamos que la mina es la basura ya esté en bolsas, en canecas o en botaderos, porque también en el país todavía hay muchos botaderos. Entonces, digamos que la materia prima es la basura y nosotros empezamos a recuperar desde allí muchos materiales. ¿Cuáles son nuestras principales resistencias? Las empresas de servicios públicos de aseo, que son todas multinacionales, que son de grandísimos capitales, los estados que tienen arreglos con todas estas empresas, y muchos dirigentes y muchos otros compañeros recicladores que su actitud es la de que solo le importe su propio beneficio. Y a nivel nacional somos más o menos unos 15.000 personas organizadas en 60 cooperativas y asociaciones, dividido en 7 regionales. El solo hecho de que de entrada se le pagara a 3.000 recicladores, eso es un cambio fundamental, estructural. Y eso no solamente ha cambiado para los recicladores en Bogotá, sino para los recicladores en todo el país. Los recicladores en cada municipio están diciendo al alcalde: si los recicladores de Bogotá tienen ese reconocimiento, nosotros somos iguales a los de Bogotá, ¿qué pasa con nosotros? Pero esa es mi visión personal, que sé que es compartida por mucha gente, pero lograr eso es muy difícil porque se requiere el concurso de mucha gente, se requiere el concurso de los gobiernos para ayudar a hacer sistemas alternativos, no los convencionales, porque si por ejemplo una persona se gana el 70% de un salario base, pues no tiene la misma posibilidad de pagar el seguro que una persona que se gana el salario base. Entonces se necesitan como sistemas alternativos y escalables, de tal manera que en la medida en que la gente vaya teniendo una mayor productividad, una mayor formalidad, pues efectivamente si tiene con qué cubrir más, pues que cubra siempre más. Pero si no lo tiene,
somos luchadores, emprendedores, berracos, en todo el sentido de la palabra.
Y yo creo que el mundo está viendo a los recicladores con otros ojos. Yo creo que el mundo está entendiendo que el trabajo de los recicladores es muy importante y que por lo tanto tenemos que recibir un trato considerado. Soñamos con lo mismo, trabajamos muy duro todos para superar esas condiciones de pobreza, para hacer organizaciones que tengan iniciativas empresariales. Nos unimos para tener una misma voz en las reclamaciones, en las demandas, en las pretensiones. Los recicladores en el mundo nos parecemos muchísimo porque somos todos iguales.
Collective initiatives are pattern makers, not just problem solvers. They deal with what is not working by creating alternatives. And they do more than just solving complex societal and environmental problems at a surface level. They actively address the deeper dimension of reality. They demonstrate that it is possible to design and implement programs differently and to establish alternatives, ethical and principled actions, sourcing their inner values and wisdom. The usual hero's adventure begins with someone from whom something has been taken. Individuals then take off on a series of adventures beyond the ordinary, either to recover what has been lost or discover some life-giving elixir. Their story will be told, and it's always the same story. Wherever we are or wherever we live, we all face similar social and environmental issues, and our deepest concern is perhaps one, the fate of humanity. What we discovered throughout our journey transformed the way we think. The principal lesson, and to some extent, the conclusion of this journey, is that a single occurrence, no matter how small, can change the course of the world. Solidarity is a symbol, and symbols are given to empower people. Alone, a symbol is meaningless. But with enough people?
I am my own captain and commander, sailing above the sea or sailing under. I am my own captain and commander, I roam the sea and plunder. I am my own captain and commander, sailing above the sea or sailing under. I am my own captain and commander, I roam the sea and thunder. Stretching my arm and I can touch his forehead. That doesn't scare me, I feel his breath. Stretching my arm and I can touch his forehead. And all the treasures I find